two special guests with her today, Charlie and Shirley Mosteller, who have been friends for quite some time. Long time.
Long time.
Long time.
We were all school buddies,
Okay.
and my husband.
Okay, here we go. Lillian, and she doesn't like it, Maxine Parkin. Born January 31st, 1935 in Bloomfield Township, Union City, Pennsylvania. I don't know where Union City is though. Just right down the road from my hometown. When I asked her the name of the hospital where she was born, she just looked at me and said, "Hospital? I'm so old they didn't have hospitals back then." She said she was born at home. And when she was ready to come into the world, her father had to hook up the horse and buggy and go get
Sled.
You just blew my next line. To go get the midwife. Then I was just going to say, as Lil said, if the weather up there is like, or at that time, is like what it is right now, it would have been the horse and sleigh. Thank you very much, Lil. Now I'm really going to pull the dirt on you. Lil has one brother, Neil, who is older, and he lives on Route 8 in Union City. She also has one daughter, Penny, and Penny and her husband lives in Sharpsville, Pennsylvania.
Just Penny. Just Penny. Just Penny.
Oh, it's just Penny.
Yeah,
I only have Penny here. Thank you. They live in Sharpsville, which is just down the road. Now, one little thing, Will, you don't know this, the setting in front of you was sent down by Penny. So that's very, very nice. Penny has 3 boys, which, of course, are Lil's grandsons. They're Ben, Jordan, and Nolan. The 3 grandsons are really kept busy all the time. Jordan played professional volleyball in Sweden for a year, and now is the assistant volleyball coach at St. Francis College in Altoona. Ben is a lineman for Met Electric out of York, Pennsylvania, and I'm sure this time of year, he is extremely busy with the extreme weather that we are having. Her youngest son, Nolan, is a junior at St. Allison College in New Hampshire, majoring in politics. Maybe we have a future president? I, at this time, want to read an email that I received from Ben, but this is actually for all the 3 grandsons. I hope that I'm not too late, but I want to say something about my grandmother. She has always been a great, loving grandmother who would do anything for her grandsons. We spent a lot of days growing up with her. There was never a dull moment, which I'm sure of that. Between fishing, hunting, going to the camp, and everything in between. She has always been one of the best people in my life, our life, and I wouldn't change that for the world. We tell people that my Nana is 80 years old, and you would never know it. We wish her the best 80th birthday, Valentine's, and many more to come. Lil attended school at Bloomfield High School and graduated back in the old days of 1952. She was involved in sports at school, namely little basketball, volleyball, of course, and if you can believe this, she was a cheerleader. Lil, you want to give us a cheer? Right after school, Lil started to work as a billing clerk for the York and Foster Company. They were a furniture manufacturer. Unfortunately, that job only lasted for 2 years before they went bankrupt. You were the billing clerk? From there, she went to a company called SnapRite.
Snap tight.
Tight. Snap Tight. I think a lot of us know that name.
Yeah.
That's a very, very well known company. She was there for 1.5 years, but she quit because somebody came into her life, the love of her life, Jim Shreve. Jim and Lil met for the first time at a dance at the Bloomfield High School. I guess she was quite a dancer. Well, you have to be a dancer to be a cheerleader. Jim was a teacher there at the time, and at the dance, they met, they became acquainted, and Jim asked her immediately to go to another dance, a square dance, in Wattsburg, Pennsylvania. Things got a little bit heated after that, and after 3 years of dating, they were married September 2nd, 1955, in a Baptist church in Centerville, Pennsylvania. After getting married, sit down for right now.
Oh, good.
Don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. After getting married, Lil started working for the Allegheny College as secretary to the Dean of Women. She was there for 7 years until they decided to start a family in 1962. She was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years, and then went back to work after the children had grown, and she went to work for the Conneaut Valley High School. Conneaut Valley School, as a teacher's aide, and she was there for 13 years, where she finished her working career, and both she and Jim retired in 1982. That's not so long ago. Now, what are they going to do after they retire? Jim's stepmother had a house here in Pine Grove since the 50s. And guess where that house is? Right next door to mine and where Lil lives. Jim and Lil came down to visit, and they immediately fell in love with Pine Grove. After Jim's stepmother passed away, they bought the house, and ever since then have been coming down faithfully. I think most of you remember Jim, of course, and he passed away October 6th, 2005. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. But remember October 6th. It's funny how certain things repeat itself. Lil was born on a small farm in Pennsylvania that consisted of cows, 5 horses, and many chickens. Her duties as a child was mainly, of course, with the chickens, picking the eggs, checking them, cleaning them, and of course, selling them. But because she's older than dirt, there was no hospitals. They didn't have money back then. They used the barter system a lot. That's how they did a lot. Living in a small community, Jim and Lil were mostly homebodies, but they did take one beautiful trip to Hawaii. And I'm sure that would be a wonderful, wonderful trip. They had a hunting camp in Tidiu, Pennsylvania, and they enjoyed the outdoors, including fishing, hunting, and all the good stuff. Yeah. Lil said she was quite a hunter, and it was not unusual for her to bag a deer. Now, she never told me if she ever cleaned it. I would like to see. Jim was a Freemason, and Lil also was active in the Eastern Star. they also enjoyed roller skating at Canadota Lake. I have to say this, doing this interview with Lil, again, my hometown, Corey, is only 50 miles from where Lil lived. All these places that I'm mentioning, I did as a kid. I know all these places, and I think we spent half our interview reminiscing, oh yeah, I've been there, I did that, we did the same thing. But 100 years later, though. Jim and Lil were never gamblers, so they never really won anything big. She's been very, very active in the Pine Grove Park community with cards, walking, trash and treasures, potluck, the social life, and of course, as we all know, shuffling. I think we all know her proficiency on the shuffleboard, and she has several trophies at home. And of course, if you look on the plaques on the walls, her name's on there several times. The trophies, of course, are alongside of Jim's. And we all remember Jim, how good he was. They have quite a set of memorabilia back there. I was talking to some of her fans and family back home, and I found out some very interesting things. Lil, you're going to have to stand up for this. Now, I do consider you a friend, but I know after I'm done, you may not. You're going to move, or am I going to move? It's funny how paths cross and there are coincidences and everything that happen throughout your life, and I'm sure everyone here has had things like that happen. I know I have. I spoke to her neighbor, Dorothy. Dorothy moved to Conneautville in 1988 and lived right next door. The families became very, very good friends and would get together often. Dorothy is from Scotland, and this is one of the little things that came up. She let me know that she is 10 days younger than Lil. Now, being so close in age, of course, they became extremely good friends. And of course, the husbands, they got along and they were absolutely best buddies. Here's another little thing. Dorothy's husband passed away 4 years after Jim on October 6th.
Same day as my Jim passed, same day.
Same day as hers. Dorothy misses Lil terribly during the winter and says that during the summer, she and Lil get together, sit on the back veranda, enjoy good times. And maybe something else too. I know a lot of you have pet names. Oh, you have pet names for your partners, friends, family. I also found out Lil had one in the past. What's the matter? You getting nervous?
No,
You know what it is, right?
I think I do.
Don't ask me how she got it, as I didn't even want to ask. And I didn't want to get into the... She was known as Ted. Do you want to explain that, or we just want to let that go?
That's what my dad called me. I was real, first I had black hair, and I guess he thought I was a teddy bear or something. He is one.
Very good. Okay, Ted. We all know that Lil can be a social butterfly, and I found out some very interesting things. If you remember, she was the secretary for the Dean of Women at Allegheny College for 7 years, back in the late 50s and 60s. At that point of time, the Dean of Women was Mrs. Knight.
Nice. X.
The Dean, okay. It appears that when Lil develops relationships